come in a bit closer if you want to. Okay. Did any of you get down to Phillip Island at the weekend? Yeah. Ah, good to see you. And what did you think of Stoner's last ride? Yeah. Well, I think he's a pretty good Australian, that mate. I reckon he ought to get more recognition in the general public. Have we got any interstaters here? George will get in on publicity wherever he can. Originally he's from France, and then he decided to come to Australia via all of Europe and most of South America, bits of the United States and Canada, and he's worn out 900 diversions on the way. I'd like to thank, before we go any further, I'd like to thank the organisers for this. Today came together really out of the internet, and so different people have done different things. It's all out of people's own pockets. There's been no like major organisation funding for this. That's why we're selling the t-shirts and things, to try and recoup some of that, so bear that in mind if you would. What it says to me is that after about 10 years of apathy, we're beginning to see motorcyclists saying, enough is enough, we're sick of this, we don't want front number plates, we don't want high visibility vests, we don't want compulsory protective clothing, and we don't want laws that prevent us from living our lifestyle and enjoying each other's company like the consorting laws. And we don't want wire rope fence. It's not a done deal. Wire rope's dangerous, and just because they're putting what they call impact attenuators on the posts for the wire rope barriers doesn't mean they're safe. All it means is they're spending your tax money to make themselves look good. Got to get the script right, you see. Yes, so we'd like to thank the organisers of various groups that have helped us out. The Victorian Scooter Riders Association, the Motor Guzzi Club put out a lot of publicity. Antique Motorcycles in Cheltenham led the ride in from Cranbourne today. Independent Riders Group, and anyone else that's helped us. I'd also like to thank Scholesy for turning up from Ausbike magazine. Came all the way down from Sydney for this. And I first met Skol in the 1983 Motorcycle Expo out at the showgrounds, and they took a stand there. That was when we had things like driver awareness rides, and on that day we had members of Parliament on the backs of bikes, and we had 8,000 riders in the column that went out to Tullamarine Airport, round the airport loop and back into the Royal Showgrounds as a show of strength and to show people that we have a legitimate right to ride and we're not giving it up. And that's what we need to get back to nowadays. We're here because there's a lot wrong with the way motorcycle and scooter riders are being treated by road authorities across this country, and particularly in this state. Now, there are 1.3 million Australians licensed to ride on our roads, and we've got a right to defend our right to ride. We pay our taxes. We pay more taxes than most other people. The way we need to work, because consultation has obviously failed, we've got people sitting on the government committees, and yet we're still fighting front number plates again. How many times have we had to fight front number plates in the last 25 years?
Too many.
So we need to get out there, we need to be seen, we need to tell the politicians that we are a force, we're organised, and we're going to be at the ballot box in marginal seats, and we're going to rock your boat. We need to tell people like TAC and Vic Roads that we're watching you, we're getting the Freedom of Information requests, and when you make a mistake, we'll be feeding information to the lawyers to sue you. People are getting knocked off their bikes. You'll hear from a lady shortly, knocked off her bike, sitting on the bike, hit from behind. She could have had a day-glow vest and a flashing light and skyrockets, and this idiot just drove smack into the back of it. Now, how is a day-glow vest going to help that? So we've got to get together, we've got to stand up. One of the things you have to do when you leave here is tell other people. Tell them to join their local organisations, tell them to get involved on the internet, whatever, and go and see your Member of Parliament and let them know what you think. Because we want motorcycle laws and safety, scooter laws and safety that are based on evidence. We want them to use our taxes to do the research and to generate real laws that will help our safety, and where they're not necessary, don't generate them. When you don't need a law, you don't have it. Now, I've heard some people have said to me, you know, oh, look, this business about fluoro vests and compulsory protective clothing is nonsense. It's not happening. There's no, well, on that protest leaflet there, and there's a box of them here, you're welcome to take it away with you. There's a link to the police document that was put into the parliamentary inquiry that's running right at this minute. So if you want to see what they're actually proposing, and assure yourself that it's not just a furphy, then look it up on the internet. It's real and it's happening. The day-glow vests first came to our notice when a Police Sergeant Gore, at Wangaratta Highway Patrol, told a safety forum that fluoro vests would be law in 18 months. And if we didn't like that, we could give up motorcycles. I said, no, I'm not giving up motorbikes, and you're not passing that law because you don't make the law. We elect our representatives, and they make the laws, and you enforce it. And recently we've seen the Transport Accident Commission. They're the mob that we pay a fortune to stay on the road. We saw them produce a TV ad that showed a car driver going through a stop sign without looking and killing a motorcyclist. They didn't consult anybody over that. They produced a bomb and it had to be taken off air. They spent $1 million on it, and at a recent forum interstate, I think it was in South Australia, the people attending the forum were told that the TAC not only consulted with our rider representatives, but our rider representatives approved of the ad. And that is just straight up not true, and I knew it wasn't true at the time. And that's another reason we're here. We can't trust these people anymore. I was at another road safety forum earlier this month, this one in Melbourne, and we were told that for pedestrian safety, motorcycles had to be removed from Melbourne's footpaths. That's a state law, so that means if they take them off Melbourne's footpaths, they take them off the towns all across the state. And the answer to that is no, you're not going to. Makes Melbourne look good, makes Victoria look good. We want to keep our parking rights on the footpath. Okay, we've got... And I thought I was too old for this. You'll have noticed today that we've got lots of big bikes, lots of Harleys. We've also got lots of scooters, because we're all in this thing together. We all are old enough to have a licence, therefore we're all old enough to vote. Our first speaker, we've got 4 speakers for you. We've got Steve Bardsley from the Victorian Scooter Riders Association. We've got Heather Ellis, Heather's a mother, a motorcyclist, and a member of the Victorian Motorcycle Advisory Group at Vic Roads. We've got a Member of Parliament, Luke Donnellan, down here. He's the Shadow Minister for Transport and the TAC. So, Luke's been listening to what we have to say, and he'll get up and speak to you a little bit later. And then we've got John Voyage from Morris Blackburn Lawyers, who will tell you about the Sorry Mate, I Didn't See You campaign. You'll see a few of their T-shirts around. They also made a TV ad for about 1% of the cost of the TAC ad, and it's 1,000% better than the TAC ad. And that's up on YouTube at the moment. Okay, so having said all of that, I'll hand over to Steve Bardsley for the Scooter Organisation.
Thank you. And I'd just like to say, what about a round of applause for Damien, because he's put this together. Fantastic. You know, guys, you don't often hear, and we're often said, that you don't hear from scooterists when it comes to matters of road safety. And in fact, that's quite true. But we've had enough, and we've decided to join with the Independent Riders Group and motorcyclists all around Victoria to say no to this discrimination against motorcycles and scooters. I'm joined today by Greg Pond, and we represent the Victorian Scooter Riders Association, and that's made up of the 4 largest scooter clubs in Victoria. And we face very similar problems as you guys do as motorcyclists, and I just would like to talk about those today and share some things with you. The main issue that we see is what we call the law of the jungle. The law of the jungle is out there today on Victorian roads. What do we see? That the largest vehicles believe that they have the right of way. It doesn't matter if they're facing a stop sign or a give way sign. If it's a scooter or a motorcycle in the path, they won't give way. And I think we've all seen this. And they knock us off, they skittle us, and there's not much we can do about it. And the second important issue we see is the blame game. And that is, why is it whenever there's an accident with a motorcycle and a scooter, it's always the scooter or the motorcycle that gets the blame? Why is that? And yet we know, and we will hear more about this later from the Smithy campaign, that in most cases, and in fact more than 80% of the cases, when there's a fatality, it's not the motorcyclist or the scooter to blame, it's the bloody driver. And it's just not good enough. So what do we see? What has been proposed to help stop the Lord of the Jungle, to help remove the blame game? Well, the proposals that we've seen are that we, as motorcyclists and scooterists, wear a fluorescent vest. Now, is that going to do any good? Yeah, we might laugh, but that is a proposal. And even worse, we see that they say that we should wear additional items of safety gear. How is that going to help in the Lord of the Jungle? It doesn't matter what we're wearing. When they see us, they don't give way. They pay no respect to us. And even worse than that, we're forced to pay a safety levy. Motorcyclists and scooterists, all of us, are paying a safety levy. Why is that? When we know that in 80% of the cases of accidents, it's the cars that are at fault. The drivers. It's not the motorcyclists. Why are we paying the safety levy? Does anybody know? Yeah, neither do we.
We're an easy target.
So we have too many suggestions that are not going to help make the roads a safer place. Fluorescent vests are not going to do it. Making motorcyclists pay a safety levy isn't going to do it. Making us wear a front number plate isn't going to do it. And that's why we're here today, to say to these authorities, you're attacking the problem from the wrong end. What you need to do is to be talking to the motorcyclists and the scooterists, and we can tell you the things that you need to do. And I can tell you what, one of them isn't that we'll all look like idiots wearing fluorescent vests. I think also we need to be proactive as well and not just reactive. Yes, we say no, but I think we need to put forward proposals and to let the authorities know what they should be doing. And even though they might not listen to us, we can't be deterred. We have to keep going. So I'm going to end this now by saying, let's say no to unfair discrimination against motorcyclists and scooterists, because together we can make a difference.
Ladies and gentlemen, Heather Ellis.
Thanks, Stephen. And that unfair discrimination I've sort of seen firsthand as a member of Victoria's Motorcycle Advisory Group, which is appointed by the Victorian Government, and it's made up of 8 independent rider representatives, and each of us have sort of had about 5 meetings with them now, and also individual meetings. And at one of those meetings, James Holgate, the Director of Road User Safety, has said to us individually, you know, we want to discourage people from taking up motorcycling, but we've failed miserably because there's more and more people riding motorcycles, and it's the obvious way to do recreationally and for commuting. 2 weeks ago though, I was stopped at the red light on my beloved Gussie V50, and a car driver ran into the back of me at the red light, and that was a case of, you know, sorry madam, I didn't see you, and a high vis vest wouldn't have helped me at all. The guy wasn't even looking at the road. If I hadn't been there, he would have run the red light. Protective clothing, yes, that did help me because I went over the handlebars, and it was a single lane intersection, 8:30 in the morning on a Thursday. Rush hour traffic. It's luckily I didn't get run over by something coming the other way, but as a result of wearing the protective clothing, I was okay. I was quite alright. But it shouldn't be made compulsory, because, you know, police have got better things to do than to pull us up for not wearing, you know, a pair of gloves and boots and jacket and pants. And also, if I hadn't have been wearing, you know, if this law came in and I hadn't have been wearing that protective clothing, and I haven't been injured, TAC would say, oh, we're not covering you. This is, you know, what they're sort of looking at doing, to put basically putting all the onus back on the motorcyclist rather than the car drivers to be aware of other road users. You know, they're not running over pedestrians and cyclists, but they seem to be, you know, running over motorcyclists quite frequently. And it seems to me that the government, particularly Big Roads and TAC, are trying to make the motorcyclists responsible for their own safety, and you know, saying to the car driver that they don't need to look out for motorcyclists. So that if the motorcyclist's wearing a fluoro vest, and they should be, you know, looking out for them, and they should be with training, teaching the new drivers that motorcyclists are a legitimate road user, just as pedestrians are and cyclists are, but, you know, it's all back on us. And it seems to me that this town is trying to discourage people from taking up motorcycling, because to them they look at it as being dangerous. But, you know, with the training of the car drivers to look out for it, that's the starting point for making motorcycle riding a lot safer than it is today.
Thanks. I've had a couple of things mentioned. One was that Dave down here and myself were at a protest some years ago on the steps of Parliament House, and Ted Baillieu was there, and he said, after we get into government, no more TAC levy. Well, you're all still paying it, I hope. And someone else just came up to me then, John from Antique Motorcycles, and said, what are the stats for pedestrians getting hit? You know, they're always telling us we're ones that are the most at risk out there. But the fact is, in the recent police operation to crack down on jaywalking and bicycles on footpaths and things, the police said that 75% of vulnerable road users, that's bicycles, pedestrians and us, 75% of our injuries were caused by car driver error. So how come they're picking on us all the time? How come we're paying more? It's just time to say no. Now I'd like to introduce the Shadow Minister for Transport and the TAC, Mr Luke Donnellan.
What? No falling over? No, I don't need to injure myself. Thanks for the opportunity to say a few words today. As some people have already told me, have come up to me and spoken to me this morning, have said this, it's very much a lifestyle, my bike. It's not a recreation. It's not something I use to get to work, even though you might, but it's a lifestyle. And if someone was saying that, you know, you pretty much have to give up your lifestyle, I could understand why people would be bloody angry. So I understand where people don't want to do things like, say, wear the fluorescent vests and the like because they'd like to dress as they want to. Now, if I was told I had to dress a certain way every morning because I'm a politician, I'd be bloody annoyed, you know, so I can understand why. I think for me the most important thing here above all else is road safety. It's a shared responsibility. It's not just the bike riders, it's not just the car drivers, it's not the pedestrians, it's the whole lot. And it's no use blaming bike riders for an accident where, I guess like the ad with the TAC, a bike rider is coming out of an intersection, car's come out of an intersection, hasn't seen a bike rider, and the bike rider's supposedly at fault. Well, logic would dictate that's ridiculous. At the end of the day, if you want people to behave more safely on the roads, you've got to get them on board. And I can tell you all the feedback I'm getting from people from who ride bikes from all parts of the community is they're very pissed off with those ads. Those ads aren't going to actually change my behaviour because I've done nothing wrong there. Commitment to you would be that I would make sure that if we're going to do ads to try and improve, unfortunately, when the car driver's not being blamed, they're not going to change their behaviour either. You know, we would consult properly with bike riders. You wouldn't just do an ad and then blame them. It's got to be done properly because I want you guys driving more safely. I want car drivers driving more safely. I want bike riders, the whole lot. I want pedestrians watching out because it's actually pedestrian deaths which I think are a little bit more up this year, as well as car deaths, not bike deaths. So obviously we've got an issue with those. I think we've had 10 deaths more this year. We've got issues to deal with.
What was the one that introduced the brakes tax? Don't forget that.
Okay, well, we'll come back to the brakes. I can't give you a commitment on that today because I'm not going to tell you a BS in front of everybody. I'd rather actually be honest with what I can do. I think there's serious issues around the state of our roads. There's potholes everywhere. I've been doing work in the southwest coast, in the northeast of Victoria, and there are serious issues. Government severely cut back funding for road resurfacing, for well, the potholes have only recently appeared, sir. So, you know, no, I'm saying they're getting worse than they used to be because of the state of the weather, and you need to actually spend more money because we had droughts. It was a little easy to keep it up to scratch. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying the potholes have suddenly just appeared. They need to be dealt with. So I have been pushing that on your behalf and many others' behalves. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, as I say, yeah, I am a politician, and I'm not going to tell you otherwise, and we're here to try and get things better for the whole community, and it is a shared responsibility. I'm not going to go around blaming bike riders. I'm just here to try and save people's lives if I can, make the roads a little better and make your lives a little bit easier. And that's what I'll do, and I will listen. Thank you.
Well, we have to thank Luke Donnellan, and notice no one from the government's here, and we've been recording all the sound, so we know what's been said. And I can tell you right now, there have been a few people coming up to me and burning my ears about getting commitments and about how many pedestrians is killed or injured as compared to motorcyclists and so on. And they're right. We are getting a rotten deal. We are the best organised road user group as far as road safety goes. And yet they're just coming down on us like a ton of bricks. It's time to say no. We're going to stop you at the next election. Some of you may have seen a 30-second TV ad made by Maurice Blackburn and Motorcycling Australia on Facebook. And from Maurice Blackburn Lawyers is John Voyage.
Thanks very much, Damien. Thanks everyone for coming. What's that? Okay. Look, earlier Damien had talked about the importance of evidence-based decision-making, but we've got people who are making decisions about riders' rights, or indeed trying to change public perceptions of riders and all the community, and it's not based on any particular facts. We were aware that there was a Road Safety Committee investigation into motorcycle safety last year, and a few of our clients suggested to us that, look, why don't you just make a little preparation, a little presentation based on the experience you've had with clients. It happened at the same time that one of the clients brought to our attention that a police officer, who's now a very senior police officer, had previously said that 92% of the time riders were to blame for accidents. When he was questioned where did that statistic come from, he denied ever having said it. But there were journalists there, it's in the Age, you can Google it and find it easily enough. We did a presentation which was just based on the experience we'd had, which was completely contrary to this sort of perception that the police and the TAC generally show. TAC inevitably will say, this accident was caused by the rider, or at least contributed to. He was going too fast, he didn't have his helmet on right, he wasn't visible, whatever it might be. Our experience was that people time and again had reported this concept of smidsy, sorry mate I didn't see you, to the point where people are saying, I had eyeball contact with him, I was really close, and then he pulled out. No explanation about why. When we went before the Road Safety Committee, one of the members, Mr. Linguilla, who's a Labor member, said this, and I just want to read out what he said when we were presenting. We're talking about the importance of collection of data, and that decisions should be based on evidence. He said the agencies are not up to scratch to this. There are discrepancies between Vic Roads, TAC, the Department of Health, the Alfred Hospital, and so on. He said, in relation to monopolies, and this will come as a surprise, in relation to monopolies, they use the data for their agenda. And why wouldn't you? And this is what Mr. Linguilla said. If you put Dracula, I'm sorry to say this, in charge of the blood bank, you do that. Checks and balances are perhaps needed in a very democratic society. So they're not my words, I'm just quoting him, but that's one of the things which came out. So I'm quite optimistic that there are some good people on this Road Safety Committee, and maybe something good will come from it. We've looked to support motorcycle advocacy, and you'll see that there are some people here wearing the Smitzy t-shirt. It's very good to see. The sale of those t-shirts was put into preparing this ad. We say it's the ad the TAC should have made. Earlier Damien said that it cost about 1% of the TAC cost, but in fact it was about 0.2 of 1% of the TAC cost. Mind you, we had some terrific people involved, including people from Goza Studios who made a great job of it all. The concept of the ad is take a longer look. It's a message to all road users. Take a longer look before you start moving out from a stop sign. We reckon it's the ad TAC should have made, rather than putting that crap on about the reconstruction of the ad, of the collision. we've put it to TAC. In the preparation of this ad, we were saying to them, TAC, your ad's not hitting the target. What are you going to do about it? They've told us they refuse to create any motorcycle awareness adverts. So they're not going to budge. That's what they've told us. That's why we've had to make our own. As you might be aware, the Take a Longer Look is currently on Facebook, it's on YouTube. It went on, I think, on about Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and it's had about 4,500 hits when I looked yesterday. It's going to be on Foxtel, and we're trying to get it made a community service announcement to try and get it put on free to air. It's all part of the notion of that the responsibility is a shared responsibility, and they shouldn't be pointing the finger at riders. They shouldn't be blaming the victim and saying, if you were wearing something else, then something different would have happened. The statistics say, and it's unequivocal, the statistics say there's never been a safer time to ride.
And if you want to do a couple of laps of the city, the idea is to ride in a group, but you've got to obey all the road laws as they all apply, and it's to let people know, let the public know that we have a right to ride. We're raising the awareness by doing some laps of the city. And the way the police have asked you to do it is to go out the top of the Beckett Street and turn left into Queen, left into Collins, left into Spring. As you go past Parliament House, blow the horns, left down Victoria Street, back down Elizabeth, and you can go round and round and round all day if you wish. I don't think so. I think they're just getting a bit of a tan at the moment. I don't think that's going to happen. All right, well, we've got a few T-shirts left, and we've got a Fighting Fun bucket if anyone wants to put into it. The gentleman just pointed out that bicyclists don't wear safety gear and they don't pay any rego, they don't even have to carry identification. We're paying all this stuff. Where's the fairness in that? Can we get that raised in Parliament? Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for coming. Please ride safely and enjoy yourselves. See you later.